fresh cut. Why couldn't he move?
The Latin Kings originated in Chicago over 40 years ago, eventually spreading into New York, Massachusetts, and elsewhere. It is a highly organized national hierarchy, with local chapters followed by statewide and regional leadership that answer to national leadership. It is one of the largest criminal organizations in the world, with literally thousands of members.
This is Jeremiah Farmer, who claims he was forced to beat the Grammy winner. Kelly was asleep in his cell at Chicago's Metropolitan Correctional Center last Wednesday when he was attacked. Farmer, in jail for racketeering conspiracy, lays it all out in this appeal to the 7th Circuit. Farmer writes he was, quote, forced to assault hip-hop and R&B singer R. Kelly in hopes of getting spotlight attention and world news notice to shed light on the government corruption.
For Tekashi 69, saying in part he was attacked in the sauna part of a gym by 4 people who beat him up. Police in South Florida called. He was transported via ambulance to a local hospital. Now, he has sold more than 2 million records, but big news when he was granted early release from federal prison after cooperating with authorities to land several of his fellow gang members behind bars.
Fuck, nigga, that's how they supposed to treat you. Bitch ass. Mickey Mouse ass, clown ass nigga. Do something. Go ahead. Take a picture. Go ahead. Take a picture. I want to be famous now, nigga. I want to be famous, fuck, nigga.
Major bust by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office today. The sheriff announcing the results of Operation Checkmate, which also saw the arrest of 2 high-ranking members of the Latin Kings. That is one of the most notorious and violent gangs in the whole country.
6-figure cars, 6-figure chains, 6-figure cash. Investigators say this was all part of a day in the life of 2 high-ranking Latin King gang members recently busted. Locations they believe were stash houses where at least 19 other dealers pushed huge amounts of heroin, meth, cocaine, and deadly fentanyl to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars per month.
Teams serving warrants at 4 locations this past week in Brandon, Tampa, Pasco County, and the Secrets Gentlemen's Club on Hillsborough Avenue. 13 people so far, 7 of them documented Latin King members. They conducted multiple undercover drug deals inside Secrets. The primary source of those drugs, they say, turned out to be a known Latin Kings gang member.
A major takedown of what authorities call $1 million drug and gun trafficking ring.
The investigation leading to the arrest of 8 men.
Authorities say residents will be seeing a lot less violence and open-air drug sales in Rufus King Park in Jamaica, Queens, now that a major $1 million criminal ring with ties to the Latin Kings has been taken off the streets. An 18-month investigation led to the arrests of 8 men.
The ringleader, Adrian Escobar, faces about 150 years in jail.
Term investigation involving narcotics and our gang unit, our violent crime squad in Queens South detectives.
On a sunny June day, it's obvious how much this park means to the people here.
Anytime you can get a drug dealer or drugs off the street, I mean, that's great. That's a wonderful thing.
Police say the ring allegedly sold many types of drugs, including pills, ecstasy, Adderall, cocaine, and fentanyl, and also sold guns, some of which were purchased by undercover detectives who risked their lives to get them off the streets.
They spent an enormous amount of time in this area identifying people that were responsible for not only carrying firearms and selling narcotics, but also selling firearms.
60 suspects are facing charges in connection with the Latin Kings gang following a series of arrests this morning in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, in New Jersey.
The arrests were aimed at the East Coast leadership in the gang. Officials say that the gang's East Coast overseer is from here in Springfield, along with several others charged. Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo joins us in the studio with more. Audrey?
Michael Cacciatelli of Springfield was at the top of the FBI's chart, which they showed at a press conference today. That chart showed the organizational structure for the East Coast Latin Kings. This isn't the first time officials say they've charged Cacciatelli in connection with the nationally known gang.
It is one of the largest criminal organizations in the world, with literally thousands of members.
More than 60 people are facing charges Thursday in connection with the Latin Kings gang, a national gang with East Coast and Massachusetts branches. This, according to the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office, who also say the East Coast leader, Michael Cacciatelli, is from Springfield.
Under Cacciatelli's leadership, the influence of the Latin Kings has grown throughout Massachusetts, leading to an increase in shootings and violence in our cities and towns.
Michael Cacciatelli is 40 years old, and officials say he was the conduit between the regional Latin Kings chapter and national leadership. Officials say taking Cacciatelli down involved 4 years of investigation.
We successfully infiltrated the organization at its highest levels, secretly recording chapter, state, and East Coast level meetings.
According to documents released by the U.S. Attorney's Office, through those recordings and by tracking messages, law enforcement says they found Cacciatelli reportedly threatening violence.
I want to thank the U.S. Attorney for getting these individuals into federal court where they're going to see some real time and they're not going to be slapped on the wrist as they are in the district courts.
Back in 2005, the U.S. Attorney's Office confirms Michael Cacciatelli was charged, then in his 20s, as part of an investigation into the Latin Kings. Western Mass News covered his arrest in depth back then. Authorities confirm he was sentenced to 37 months in jail. Federal officials say 4 others from Springfield were charged in Thursday's Operation Throwdown as well. They say it was a targeted effort to capture leaders within the organization accused of serious crimes.
Murder, robbery, assault, witness intimidation, and firearms and drug trafficking offenses.
Surveillance video showed Brennan in a headlock, then being shot in an alcove and lying unmoving while the suspect flees.
21-year-old Luis Baby Ortiz is charged with attempted murder of a police officer, assault on a police officer, criminal possession of a weapon, and menacing. Just a short time ago, police walked him from the police station, transporting him to the courthouse. If he is guilty of these charges, he did not seem remorseful. He's already been arrested 14 times, and according to the police commissioner, served time in jail. He was wanted by police for questioning for a New Year's Day shooting. Now he's charged with shooting 29-year-old police officer Kevin Brennan.
The shootout between the MS-13 gang and the Latin Kings here in Jamaica, Queens. It happened in the middle of the day, and the big concern now is how that violence almost hurt innocent civilians.
Katie, yes, that verdict coming down guilty on all charges here, including assault with intent to murder. That is the most serious charge. 58-year-old Sean Harrison, a former administrator at Boston English High School, now convicted of shooting one of his students. The victim, 17-year-old Luis Rodriguez, was shot in the head. And according to the district attorney, it was by sheer luck that the young man survived his injuries. Prosecutors said that this shooting was part of Harrison's drug dealing behind the scenes, which made him, quote, a fraud.
61 Latin Kings gang members now behind bars. They face charges of racketeering and drug distribution. And while many of the alleged criminals in the federal indictment live in the Uvalde area, 16 are from right here in San Antonio.
Members from state and federal agencies announced the arrest of a gang leader and dozens of his members and associates. Their operation has been running in Central Texas for 10 years. Several years ago, they became the target of an investigation.
Both the FBI and the DPS have identified the Latin Kings as one of the most prolific and violent gangs here in Texas.
Investigators say they're still searching for these 4 people. The public is asked to call authorities with any tips on their whereabouts.
The racketeering conspiracy involves such violent acts as attempted murder and assault, various firearms offenses, and distribution of methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana.
Resto was sentenced to 7 to 9 years today for strapping a man to a cross and beating him with a fiberglass rod. The prosecutor had asked for an 18 to 20-year sentence, a conviction that Hampden County District Attorney Anthony Gallooni credits in no small measure to information provided by citizens in the North End.
A longtime Latin King, Mr. Resto was the linchpin of crime in the North End neighborhood of Springfield, where he operated a large-scale open-air narcotics distribution ring that he protected and enforced with violence and intimidation.
Tonight, Chicago police are investigating whether a suspected serial killer could be connected to even more killings and shootings.
The victims from the 2020 crime spree were all seemingly random.
Antonio Reyes, who is now 21 years old, is charged with 6 murders.
I told him, "Where's my son? You Ubered my son to a location, and now you don't know where my son is?"
After a back-and-forth chat, she says she was floored by Reyes's final response.
He said, "That's why your son is riding in hell." It's exactly what he told me on the Snapchat.
The teenager wanted in connection in a deadly shooting at a hotel near Holland is now in custody. Michigan State Police arrested 18-year-old Juan Cabrera this morning. He was wanted for a shooting 2 weeks ago at the Hampton Inn on Felch Street.
That's right. It took police nearly 2 weeks to find Cabrera, who, according to court documents, is a member of the Latin Kings gang and has a history of committing violent crimes. Police say the 11-day manhunt ended peacefully as they arrested 18-year-old Juan Sandro Cabrera, accused of killing 14-year-old Troy T.J. Wells at a Holland Township hotel last month.
We have several statements to lead us to believe that gang affiliation was a major component in the shooting. The shooting happened in the hallway on the second floor, outside of a room where a party was taking place.
Detectives say witnesses saw Wells show up at a Latin Kings party and begin arguing with a member of the gang in the hallway. Court documents show he was a member of the Gangster Disciples, a rival gang. One witness told investigators that Juan Cabrera shot Wells several times from the doorway of a hotel room. Wells was taken to the hospital and later pronounced dead. Police then found 2 guns and several shell casings at the scene. Cabrera has a history of violence, charged with assault and battery when he was just 14 years old. He now faces 3 charges in connection with the shooting, including open murder and gang membership.
The man who killed a 14-year-old in a Holland hotel will spend the rest of his life in prison. 18-year-old Juan Cabrera was sentenced this morning on 3 counts, including first-degree murder and gang membership. Jury convicted him in October. That shooting happened nearly a year ago now at the Hampton Inn in Holland Township. 14-year-old Troy T.J. Wells was shot with an assault rifle multiple times from just a few feet away. Witnesses told police a dispute between the rival gangs led to the shooting.
The father of a murder suspect in Ottawa County is now facing charges connected to the investigation. Ottawa County prosecutors authorized charges against 34-year-old Juan Pablo Cabrera for obstructing police by lying during the homicide investigation and for being a habitual offender. He's still in custody, and deputies say more charges related to the investigation are likely. Cabrera's 18-year-old son, Juan Sandro, is still in jail on murder charges for the February 16th incident.
Did you have issues with the Latin Kings or Hispanics as well? How was it with that?
Before I was blood, it was like it was disgusting how they did it. They had the numbers. There was already a large group of people. They was already connected. They was already running shit and running over everything. It was disgusting. The way they was doing it was racial. It was everything, and how they got the upper hand over us as blacks and the oppression and all that silly shit they was doing is the language. 97, 98, they was crazy. And we was always the minority. It'd be 6 of us against 30 of them. And we'd get busy. We'll let them know, listen, 6, and we felt like 600 though.
Was there any Latin Kings at the time that you respected that put in work, that you said, yo, you know, he put in work? A lot of them.
A lot of them is not bitches and punks and just take it and run and hop over and try to. Yeah, a lot of them is all right. They definitely stand up.
Respect.
I don't know where they getting the information from to where they saying, oh, the Bloods won the war. And I guess what, the Kings just quit? Because let's keep it a stack. They sent out the kites to the bros like, yo, listen, the Bloods is basically going to have a powwow with us. They want to try to end the war. Now, this was because OG Mac, the head of the New York City Bloods at the time, reached out to the Kings. Not reverse. Nobody reached out to the Bloods.
Yo soy Samuel el Campesino, 16 traslados, 11 años en la prisión. Yo no fui de los que más maté, pero fui de los que más gente salvé. A mí nadie me puede venir que con vueltas y que el 15 de azo, en verdad, nosotros pasamos pila de veces por ahí y cada vez que pasábamos por ahí, siempre tenemos la bandera en alto. Claro. De verdad, yo lo que soy un rey de verdad.